All right, guys, hi. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm Dorothy, your professional astrologer. So I want to talk about January for the month, but before I do that, I just want to let you know, if you haven't signed up for my email list, amongst the new people who go to my website, nhastrologer.com, and join my email list for my newsletter, of the new people who do that, I am picking 3 people every month for a 20-minute session free with me. So go to nhastrologer.com and sign up there if you would like to be part of that. And please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I put up lots of videos every single month and you are notified when they are up. So let's get started. I want to talk about, for this month, 3 things, because otherwise these videos just get way too long. So I have 3 things that I've chosen out of the month, and there's always a ton more that I want to talk to you guys about in the general sense. So I'm going to give you that general information right now. And the second piece of each video will be where these things are going on and influencing you for each of your zodiac signs. I also like to pull an oracle card or 2. I might just do that too for each sign for the month of January. All right, so let me get started with what's going on here. So I got my notes in front of me. It's a big whiteboard. See? Talking about being authentic. Very important to be authentic right now. It's always important to be our true selves anyways. This is me. I'm not going to be anybody I'm not. When we live in our own authenticity, we live true to ourselves, you know, the energy, life just flows a whole lot better. And I know that just my own life experience has proven that to myself. So one of the first things I'm going to talk about, I'll tell you really quick. Mercury retrograde, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Jupiter retrograde and as it makes its conjunction to the North Node, the lunar node, on the day it goes retrograde. And then if I'm not running too long, I'm going to talk about Venus and Sag. Okay, so Mercury. Mercury's retrograde January 7th all the way through January 26th. Now, it starts its retrograde motion in the sign of Aquarius. It will only be at 0 degrees of Aquarius, but it will be at that degree for a whole week. And so we're getting to start off a retrograde. Retrogrades, you know, the day that, especially Mercury or any planet, truly, when they go retrograde, the day that they're retrograde, and even the day that they're direct, they're at a standstill from our perspective here on this planet. And you know, the energy of that just means that what it means is nothing's moving. Nothing will move. It's stopped. It's like us when we're in our car. You know, there's that dead stop before we go the next direction. So Mercury tends to be very free-flowing, great for gathering information. It's very lighthearted, very easy, kind of like the butterfly, because we're describing, you know, Mercury in its natural rulership of Gemini. Now, with it in Aquarius, as it goes retrograde, again being in 1 degree for a whole week as opposed to a single day like it usually is, lots of communication issues are just going to go hit a standstill. And whether this means that, whether it's communication and, you know, phones just go bad, computers go haywire for a little bit, or if we look at the other aspect of Mercury, transportation and movement. So wherever you live, there could be some weather. You know, I live in the northern hemisphere, so I'm looking at, you know, probably some bad weather that week, just that will keep us home a little more so we're not moving out and about as much, okay? So don't take this as the end of the world by any means, but there will definitely take this whole week, especially the first week of January, it'll take a little while for us to get rolling on what this Mercury energy is really wanting to produce. It's not going to produce much in Aquarius. What it will do when it moves into the sign of Capricorn, somewhere around the 10th, once it moves into the sign of Capricorn, like 29 degrees, 28, it's backing all the way up to 14 degrees of Capricorn, which is where those cardinal planets have been, you know, right around 13, 14, 15 degrees for months and years on end, right? And that tells me that we got some more cardinal cross, cardinal T-square things happening, and this is the case. So later in the month, this will take a little while, but on January 20th, Mercury makes a square aspect to Uranus, and then on the 22nd and the 30th, it conjuncts Pluto. Now, it conjuncts Pluto as a retrograde planet on the 22nd and as a direct planet on the 30th. So what do these two things mean? And I'm going to get to where it is for each of the signs in just a second, so hang on. With Mercury making a square aspect to Uranus, this is communication, especially as a retrograde planet. You know, there's just going to be, we're going to be getting weird emails, we're going to be getting weird messages, we're going to be getting stuff that is just through the roof, very different. Now, Aquarius and Uranus rules Aquarius. Since Mercury started its retrograde in that sign, and the planet that is the ruler of gets an aspect from Mercury, you know, we're going to, you know, we feel like we need to move and we need to do something. This could be a pretty tricky retrograde this time around. If you have electronics, this is one of the times, because Aquarius rules those things. I would recommend before we go retrograde, so you're going to hear this ahead of time because I have it up in December. For those of you lucky enough to see it ahead of time, definitely back up your electronics and keep an eye on them. You know, fix things, renew things, do what you need to do to keep things in alignment and up to date. And that's really important. And that's that Mercury square Uranus. All right, January 20th. And we're going to feel that a few days on either side of that date, okay? And that's the day that the sun enters Aquarius as well. So I'm telling you, it's going to be an interesting day on January 20th. There's just going to be a lot of rocking and rolling going on. And I'll be there to see it too. We'll let each of us know how that happens. Fill me in when you get a chance if you like. Then on the 22nd and on the 30th, when Mercury does make this conjunction to Pluto, you know, whatever we were doing that went through a major shakeup or just, you know, amazing news. I mean, this can even be amazing news. Don't take shakeups as something that's negative all the time, you know, with that Uranus energy. On the 22nd, when it does conjunct Pluto, there could be a deep transformation. It's like, okay, so I have this new information. What do I do with it now? All right, what do I do with it now? And this is how we look at it. And on the 22nd, all the way through the 30th, Mercury will just be in conjunction with Pluto that whole time, within a few degrees either side. And so we are changing and transforming how we see things and how we feel about something and how we're presenting that out in our immediate environment. Because Mercury is in charge of the immediate environment as well as the communication piece that everybody speaks about. So if you don't know enough about Mercury, go search it out and you'll get lots of good information about that. So next step is what is going on in what house. So, and the houses will be representative of your zodiac sign. So that is next. Okay, so this one's for you, Gemini. And Gemini, I just want to reiterate a little bit about that Mercury retrograde. The retrograde of Mercury is actually on January 5th. You know, I actually didn't mention that in the first half of this video, so I just want you to know that for sure. And so the energy of all of that, especially with most of the energy with Mercury in Capricorn, that's going on in your solar 8th house. And so with Capricorn in there, that just means that there is, this is the area where transformation needs to happen, and most of the transformation happens in your life is in that 8th house, and that is the same for everybody. But with Capricorn in there, and that means you've got Pluto in there, and Mercury is retrograde in that sector. This means that you needing to release and let go of a way of thinking and a way you think about yourself especially. So take all the other information that I just told you and add that to it. So there is a transformative piece to all the actions that you can take during the month of January, especially while Mercury is retrograding through your 8th house. Into February, it will still be in there all the way until it gets out of Aquarius. Not until February, though. So keep that in mind, that all of the shifts and changes that you make as far as communicating and being out and about in your neighborhood, all of that is really requiring you to step it up and make some changes. Because where you're feeling the most difficulty and the most stress and tension is where you're hanging on way too tight. All right? Now, moving on to Jupiter retrograde. Now, Jupiter does go retrograde on January 7th. Now, if you want to know more about Jupiter as well, there is another video for that, okay? It's a big, specific video just on Jupiter. I'm going to put a link in this video here so you can go and click on that and listen to that. Find the sector that's for yourself, all right, for your zodiac sign. So with Mercury retrograde on the 7th of January, that's at 23 degrees of Virgo. So this is a conjunction to the North Node, that lunar North Node. And when those two planets are together, I mean, basically, let me back up a little bit, around in the middle of September, the eclipse was 20 Virgo, right? It was right at that 20th degree of Virgo. So this is still the same area where that eclipse was back in September. So there is still a trend going on here in that area of the zodiac. And so what we get to do with this Jupiter energy conjunct the North Node as Jupiter's retrograde, because that means it's kind of standing still, so it's really hanging on. This is in your solar 4th house, which is home and family. So your home and family is highlighted with this aspect. And then this aspect, what it brings in just in and of itself is inspiration. It helps us to take a new path, step a new path, walk a new path. Take, it's like a fork in the road. Which way are we going to go? And if it's in your 4th house, then you can be working on and healing wounds or injuries from the past, from your family lineage. Or, there's many positive steps that you can take with that. This is not a bad thing. Or you can be expanding your own family. Maybe you're in that expanding baby mode, Maybe you're young enough that you're having a family, you're just starting a family. This is a place that would happen too, especially if you have Gemini rising. So that's the big focus for you right now with that Virgo, Jupiter conjunct the North Node in Virgo, and with Jupiter retrograde in that sector. So look at the bigger picture. Life path and destiny are definitely taking a shift for you this winter because it's in your solar 4th house. Excellent. Always good stuff to look forward to. Jupiter isn't always about, when it's retrograde, we're not expanding so much, but sometimes Jupiter will expand more than we want. Like our waistlines or our credit card bills get bigger. So when it's retrograde, we get to kind of back that off a little bit, which is kind of nice. It might be a good opportunity to lose a little weight if you have any to lose. Now, the final thing I want to talk about for January and Gemini, that is Venus and Sag. So Sagittarius is our opposite sign. So when Venus moves through the sign of Sagittarius, first off, when it comes to love and money and what things we think are beautiful, we will overdo it. We are very enthusiastic. We love the energy of being adventurous and fun. And that's what Venus in Sagittarius is about. But in this month of January, she also makes a conjunction to Saturn. Now, when she conjuncts Saturn, she's going to be shy. We might all of a sudden feel shy. We might feel that we're afraid to commit to somebody. If somebody's wanting us to commit to them, or we want someone to commit to us, commitment will show up because Venus is about relationships and Saturn is about commitment. It's also about fear, where we're afraid to commit, or we're afraid we committed and we shouldn't have. See this? We're just always second guessing ourselves, but these are the energies that can be present, and we can choose whichever ones we want. That's the dynamic of astrology. We have all of these options. Free will allows us to choose what way we're going to use it. This all goes on in your solar 7th house of relationships and partnerships, one of Venus's natural homes. So relationships and partnerships should be pretty important this month because that's going on in your solar 7th house. All right, I'm going to leave you with that, and give me a second. I'm going to grab my deck of cards and pick a couple cards for Gemini. All right, hold on. I should have grabbed these before I started the recording, but I forgot. That's all right. There's one. And there's two. I like this deck. It's a good deck. So the first card is, oh, how wonderful. Partnerships and alliances. So the partnerships and the alliances card, when that comes up here, I'll show you. This is a deck by John Holland. It's a great deck. I love this oracle deck. Partnerships and alliances, that goes right along with the Saturn energy, that Venus and Saturn energy. So trusting them and working on them is very, very important. If you don't trust your partnerships and alliances, then the next card will be created, and that is emotional withdrawal. So when we become, and that is, boy, I tell you, these cards are fantastic. This plays perfectly into the last bit about the Venus in Sagittarius, partnerships and alliances, conjunct Saturn, and if we don't trust those things, we will withdraw emotionally. Now, if you need time to contemplate, then the emotional withdrawal is very important, and it's not a negative thing. It is something that we all need to do. We all need alone time. But if you push a situation too far, you can push someone else into withdrawing from you. So keep that in mind, that you're able to keep this fun, keep it into Sag territory. Keep it fun, keep it adventurous. Just because Saturn's in there doesn't mean that it has to be a negative thing. It means that you're looking for something that's more committed. You just don't force someone into it. And that's really one of the best ways to use this energy. All right, I'm going to leave you with that. Come to my website, please. nhastrologer.com. I teach all kinds of classes online. You can read it there. I do all kinds of private sessions online or on the phone if you need. And I also have a private mentorship program. I only have 8 spaces every year available for that. So if you're interested in hearing about that, please email me through my website. It is one-on-one mentoring and tutoring. The whole program is written out on the website, but you can ask what the fees and all of that will be through emails. All right, thank you very much, and yeah, be who you are, be your authentic self, and lots of love. Namaste.